Welcome everyone. TalentCheetah presents Hiring Accelerated, right? We're Cheetah Fast. And today, if I move this over here, today is June 27th. And we're very fortunate to have with us our presenter today, Michael Martin. And the presentation today, the free TalentCheetah webcast, is all about CB-PMO Consultant Certification course, which is a certified baseline for PMO. Mike is the founder and managing director of M2 Consulting Group. So I'm going to tell you a little bit. Most of you on the phone are already Cheetahs. Some of you are Cheetah wannabes and friends of Cheetahs. But let me tell you a little bit about TalentCheetah. So TalentCheetah is one free and easy to use platform for sourcing project and program management experts. We specialize in helping tech-forward small and medium-sized businesses hire contract PMs for high-stake technology initiatives. As you know, we're now up to 100, as of yesterday, we have 159 Cheetahs onboarded to the platform on our supply side. So one more next week. I'm interviewing 5 people, so we'll have 5 more next week. So we'll push us over the 160 mark on the supply side of our talent marketplace. And then we're also working, as you know, the great news that Rebecca's doing, onboarding new companies and onboarding some sales staff that we've recently engaged with. We're Cheetah Fast, and everyone on the Cheetah platform that is a Cheetah already, we are 80% have their PMP certification, 75% have their master's degrees, and 65% are from underrepresented groups such as women, minorities, and veterans. Unlike our competitors, TalentCheetah offers part-time, full-time, and temporary or permanent, long-term, on-site, hybrid, and remote opportunities. So that's all about TalentCheetah. Now I'm going to tell you about our esteemed speaker, Mike Martin. So Mike is really, we're very lucky to have him. He's got more than 20 years of experience, and he's worked for companies like IBM, Microsoft, KPMG, and the military. He delivers unparalleled expertise in areas such as risk management, project audit and forensics, and PMO training. He's an esteemed thought leader, and he's a lecturer at Emory University. I think, Mike, you've been there for more than 15 years, I think, right? Teaching Emory University. So obviously he's got his PMP. He also has a CSM. And today he's going to be telling us about the CB-PMO credential. He's also a sought-after consultant and an AI prompt engineer. So connect with Mike for unparalleled project excellence. So with that, Mike, I hope that was a good introduction for you. I'm going to turn this over to you. I'm going to stop sharing now.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, you made me a little bit younger than what I am, so I'm perfectly fine with that, by the way. So bear with me 1 second. Jeff, if you could give me sharing capability.
Okay, I think, can you do that?
There it goes. I've got it. And just bear with me 1 second, folks. Let me get everything set up. And I've got multiple screens here. So anybody that's done training, you kind of know the drill here. Get you guys where I can see everybody, or at least part of everybody. No, still not there.
We can see your slide fine, Mike.
Can you see the slides? Okay, fantastic. Good. Okay, so Jeffrey and Rebecca, thank you very much for inviting me to speak today. Jeff had sent out a request looking for speakers, so I guess graciously invited myself to speak here and to introduce you to the Certified Baseline PMO Consultant Certification that is offered by the PMO Global Institute. So before we jump into the slides here, And it's good to have an opportunity to speak to a lot of senior folks. And the nice thing about the Cheetah team here is that you're all senior people. So a lot of this stuff's going to be kind of basic to you, at least the upfront piece. But we'll get into the certification things and the CBO framework, the PMO guidebook, things like that here in a little bit, which will probably be new to you. So I do have over 30 years, pushing 40 years of experience in program project management. And that's where all this gray hair is coming from here. I've actually been instructing at Emory University now for over 20 years. We started 20 years ago in March. So we hit the 20-year mark in March. Started off with one class, is now expanded into a whole project management certificate program as well. As Jeffrey mentioned, I am the founder and managing director of M2 Consulting Group. Throughout my career, I've led global PPM initiatives, enterprise governance, risk compliance, and enterprise risk management initiatives for IBM, Arthur Andersen, KPMG, and Microsoft. Some of the industries I've worked in is IT, software consulting, higher ed, construction. I actually started off in construction, by the way, with the Corps of Engineers. During the dot-com boom, moved over, migrated into IT. So if anybody asks you if your project management skills can be transferable, absolutely, because I went from construction into IT, government, healthcare, automotive as well. Some of my certifications, again, the Certified Baseline PMO Consultant certification. As Jeff mentioned, I also am a PMP. If you see my number there, it's 2127. So that was a long time ago. It was actually before the PMBOK, believe it or not. So that was in 93 that I acquired or obtained my PMP certification, and the PMBOK came out a couple years later. So I've kind of seen the evolution of PMI as well as the PMBOK and other certifications as well throughout those years. I am a certified Scrum Master, past president, chair of the PMI Atlanta chapter. Also served on the PMP Exam Development Committee for the second version of the exam. Sat on the PMI Research Board for several years as well, and founding chair of the Government SIG, just a few things I've done in PMI. I've also authored 3 books. First book was the Delivering Project Excellence with the Statement of Work, then the Government's, or How to Write the Statement of Work, 6th edition, and then the Government Manager's Guide to the Statement of Work. And then have co-authored a couple other books, 77 Deadly Sins of Project Management and the Field Guide to Project Management as well. Okay, so just a little bit about myself and kind of my background there. So all of you in here probably know what a PMO is. Yeah, so I'm not going to go in and cover this slide necessarily, but the PMO can be many things to many different people, right? Could be an enterprise project management office, program management office, portfolio management office, project management office, special PMOs, just a whole plethora of different terms that can be used to describe what that PMO is. And we put these in place typically to obtain benefits for the organization, don't we? We want to make sure that our projects are strategically aligned with the business strategy, delivering that value consistency of our projects that we're doing, having this, strategic decision makers in place, facilitating that overall project delivery and life cycle through completion. The PMO is also going to be doing the training, mentoring, coaching, knowledge transfer for your project managers as well as your team members. It's also going to provide those standards, best practices, act as a central repository, knowledge repository for your organization as well too. And then analyzing the important project data, business data as well as part of the overall responsibilities for the PMO. So we know some of the benefits, but there's also significant challenges with PMOs as well too. Has anybody ever been in a PMO that failed? Just show of hands or thumbs up on your screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So quite a few of you. So there are significant challenges for the PMO, isn't there? So according to the PMI 2017 Pulse of the Profession, they stated or captured that 46% of the PMO directors said the organization does not understand the value of project management. In addition, Gartner came out and said that 68% of the stakeholders perceive the PMO as being very bureaucratic. Okay, and I've seen both of these and probably higher percentages of this as well too. In addition, PMI came out later and determined that 75% of all PMOs fail within 3 years. Okay, each of us here within, the Talent Cheetahs, we're PM experts, we're PM senior leaders, okay? This should kind of bother all of us here. Why that failure rate is so high? Why are the organizations not showing that value, and why are these things failing after 3 years? So kind of make this a little bit of an interactive session. Let's take 1 minute. And if you've ever used Slido before, I'd like for you to just go on here and put why you think PMOs fail. And you can scan it with your phone, just scan the QR code, or if you're using your computer, just go to slido.com. Once you enter there, you should be able to put in your access code of 3339921. And we'll take just 1 minute here and capture some of the reasons why you think PMOs fail.
Is there a URL you can also put in the chat?
It's on the slide there. It's slido.com.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Too bureaucratic, not enough effort invested. Okay. Lack of management support, big one. Not reiterating the value of PMOs to others in the PM field. Yep. No clear direction. Don't manage expectations well. Need to show results quickly, celebrate small wins. They do not function as designed, essentially do not provide the value of investment. Okay. People don't like the discipline. PMO is not better at making value visible to senior leader. Okay, we're hitting on value quite a bit there. Try to micromanage project teams, kind of gets into bureaucracy, kind of oversight, policing. Okay. Aligned delivery expectations, not part of the culture yet. Lack of good root structure was unnecessary in most cases. Okay, need executive leader sponsorship. That's a huge one, by the way. I've seen probably more PMOs fail if a executive or PMO sponsor leaves. And nobody's there to replace them or kind of pick up the mantle going forward. Okay. We've got 1 or 2 more people typing in as soon as those come through. Okay. Okay, so good list here. So no mandatory use of PMO by leaders, executive functional leads, or PMO. Okay, lack of executive buy-in. C-suite does not value the PMO function. Okay, good list here. And all of you have probably provided input here have experienced a lot of these, right? I know as I go through here, the executive sponsorship really sticks out. People not understanding the value, or, things are going really well. No projects are failing, projects are being successfully delivered. So why do we need that? Maybe it's just overhead that the organization doesn't need, so they're going to cut it. And I've actually seen this happen where they cut the PMO, things start going poorly again, they reinitiate the PMO, get things going, and it's just a cyclical thing. It's kind of like risk management. If there's no negative impacts or major risk occurring in the organization, why do we need risk management? And you don't need it until something bad happens. So great list here of why PMOs fail. So let's look at our list here. So it's all about the value thing, right? And a lot of you hit on that value piece. If we're not able to show that value, then, particularly to the C-level or executive leadership, it's not going to stick. Okay. There's a great book out. It's called Managing the Professional Services Firm by David Maister. It was written probably early 90s. If you get a chance, it's a really good read, particularly if you're in professional services. But in that book, he writes that the first law of service is basically illustrated by customer satisfaction equals perception minus expectation. Okay. So if the perception of our leadership is lower than what their expectations are, then they're going to get rid of that PMO. Okay. So we need to be cognizant of that. All of us, as you're delivering your consulting services or your classes to your clients, be cognizant of that, of how you're showing that value to the organization. Lack of senior sponsorship, had several of those in that list. Inexperienced PMOs, are the PMOs, is a certified PMO. Do we have certified PMPs in there as well? This was, this third bullet here kind of led me down the path of, where do we have certifications around PMOs? Who's out there certifying PMOs? We all kind of probably came up through the ranks of being a project manager first, getting your PMP, and then maybe, as you matured and got more experience, became the director of a PMO somewhere. But did you ever have training in it? The PMP doesn't teach you how to do that. It doesn't certify you on how to run a PMO. Different skill set, okay? So managing a project's, one type of skill set, but when you're managing that overall PMO, particularly if it's like an enterprise PMO, you're managing the whole portfolio of projects, all the resources that go along with that, different skill set, different types of training that should be required as part of that kind of new responsibility, if you will. So strategic vision not aligned with the organization strategy. The PMOs are too busy to be strategic. Sponsor, business does not add value. Again, hitting on the value piece. Kind of the bureaucracy, the policing effort, kind of that oversight effort, not looked on kindly. Low project success rate, and those are just a few of the negatives, some of the challenges that we face. So again, this kind of led me into investigating, more around PMOs, the certification and training, ultimately led me to the PMO Global Institute. Some of you that are, heavily involved in PMI, you may be aware that PMI has recently acquired PMO Global Alliance, and their intent is to kind of grow this certification around PMOs as well too. So PMI is actually seeing kind of the importance of this, and in turn has taken those steps to start developing their own certification. But PMO Global Institute's out in front a little bit ahead of PMO Global Alliance and PMI in this respect. So the PMO Global Institute, or PMOGI, is the global body for PMO certifications representing the global project management offices, including project, program, portfolio managers involved in defining, establishing, running high-performance PMOs across many industry sectors. So currently, there's around 3,500 members within PMOGI, and there's also around 100 partners in over 60 countries. In fact, I'm doing a train-the-trainer session right now. We started this past weekend. We'll wrap up this weekend on the train-the-trainer session. And just to give you an example, I've got representation from Turkey. I have a couple of people from Turkey, Egypt, Ghana, and France in this class. Actually, nobody from the US in this class right now. Everybody's international. So there's a heavily heavy influence around the PMO certification, particularly in our international groups. So next is the PMO guidebook, and the next couple of slides what I'm going to cover are some key resources that PMOGI has published. And this was when I was looking at different certifications, I wanted to find something that had good reference material, that had good artifacts associated with it, very similar to the way the PMP is. Okay, the PMP has evolved, for good or bad. If you're looking at first couple editions of the PMBOK versus where we are now with the 7th edition, but this is kind of where they're starting out with the PMO guidebook. And let me just flip over real quick. I'll show you the table of contents of what this looks like. Maybe. So this is the guidebook. It's the first edition. It's actually version 1.1. So when I did the training a year or so ago, we were on version 1. It's now escalated to 1.1. But there's over 200 pages here. Kind of covers what the PM is, covers strategy, health checks, PM maturity, roadmap, charter, things like that. And I'll kind of scroll through here real quick. Even talks about artificial intelligence and driven PMOs. So that's an area that's really garnering a lot of attention, not only with PMOGI, but PMI and other groups as well. And then last is kind of wraps up with the figures, tables, things like that. But right now it's over, I think it's 202 pages long for the guidebook. So that gives you an idea of at least table of contents and some of the information that's contained within there. And we're going to cover this in a little bit more information here in just a second. So next is a PMO templates, artifacts, and checklist document as well. So this is another thing whenever you join PMOGI and become a trainer, you can get access to the tools and templates as well. And let me pull this up. So within this document here, there's over 73 different artifacts around PMOs. So you have some PMO templates here, the charter, health check, maturity assessment, roadmap. Then you get into kind of gate review, audit checklists. It goes by different phases here: initiating, planning, execution, closeout. You have some governance guidelines as well, PM procedures, project management plan templates. And you see different plans here: requirements management plan, project management plan, quality management plan, things like that. Again, some checklists, and then we have templates and forms here towards the end. So again, around 73 different artifacts that's provided as part of this. And this total document's around 270 pages of information. So is it perfect? Absolutely not. Some of these things are pretty basic. Some of them are really good though. And if nothing else, if you don't have anything from an artifact standpoint, you're working with the client, good reference to go to be able to at least have a starting point for developing that. So a lot of you with your level of experience and being senior PMs, you may have a lot of these things. Some cases you may not, and where you do have those gaps, it would help you fill those gaps. Okay, but just a lot of great information here all the way through that document. And as we're going through here, if you do have any questions, please feel free to stop me and answer any questions.
We have a question from William. Will you be able to send us a link to electronic versions of those templates as an example?
Well, the only way you can get these, Jeff, is to join. It's kind of like PMI. So you can't get access to the PMBOK unless you join, and then you have to put in your passcode. Same thing here. So you can get a digital copy, and then you'll type in your username as your password to get into those. Yeah.
Thank you.
That makes sense?
Yes, thank you, Mike.
You're very welcome. Sorry. They also recently came out with an Agile PMO guidebook, or practice guide rather. So this was released last month. We did the train-the-trainer session in London. Unfortunately, I was not able to go to this, so I have not went through the train-the-trainer for this piece yet. But they are now offering the Agile PMO certification as well as the Agile practice guide too. So it helps you think about, and you almost have to separate it a little bit for those of you that are Scrum Masters. It's not necessarily Agile from a standpoint of, say, product development, but it's Agile in the sense of the way you're managing your engagements in your projects. So like in a product development, you may have a backlog of products and product features and capabilities, things like that. Here you're going to have a backlog of projects. So kind of using the same concepts, but applying it to the PMO, if you will. Okay.
Is that like the Agile
PMO?
Good,
I'm sorry.
Is that like the Agile VMO or the Lean Portfolio Management? Like Agile VMO that Sanjeev Augustine's articulated, or the Lean Portfolio Management stuff that's within SAFe? Is that what it's talking about?
Not necessarily. In a way, it could be close to the Lean piece. Yeah, I mean, because when you think about it, a lot of this is focused on taking out the bureaucracy. It's kind of leaning out to a sense. And I'm sorry, I don't see your name there.
But sorry, it's Alan Zucker. It's
Alan. Hey, Alan.
Yeah.
So in a sense, it is kind of covering that. There's going to be similarities there between that piece of it, the Lean, and just a pure Agile kind of concept for the PMO.
Okay.
And it's going to cover like an Agile framework as part of that. I'm trying to think of what else. It'll have tools and techniques in the practice guide, or the practice guide. It'll cover some leadership things, some transformation, of how you transform, say, a standing PMO into a more Agile type of PMO. as well. And I think they've even embedded some case studies in the practice guide as well too. So I apologize, I don't have as much information on the Agile piece just because I haven't went through that training yet.
Michael,
And I'm not aware of anybody that's went through certification yet as well. Yes.
Michael, we have another question from Janet, and she's asking, is this only for people who have been part of a PMO, or is this for anyone in the PM profession?
Yes, I'm going to go through a couple slides here, and it'll kind of give you a criteria who it's kind of designed for, who can set for it, and what the requirements are for setting for each of these exams. Okay. So Janet, I don't see you on there, but that we'll get to it there. And if that doesn't answer your question, just let me know. Okay. So kind of the foundational building block we have, and this kind of makes up that overall PMO guidebook, or a large portion of it, I should say, is this CB-PMO framework. And again, CB stands for the baseline PMO certification, certified baseline PMO certification, and certified baseline PMO framework. And the framework is made up of 4 layers. You have the foundational layer, executable layer, supporting layer, and then your leadership and sponsorship layer. So those 4 layers make up the CBO framework. So in the foundation layer, we basically have 7 elements here. We have the business objective. So what's the overall business objective for the PMO? What's your PMO strategy? You can do a health check. So it covers actually conducting a health check on your PMO. You can do a maturity assessment. This is very high level, by the way. This is, I want to say, a work in progress. If anybody's ever done a detailed maturity assessment, not quite there yet. It's kind of like, I liken it to like a quick ratio in financial analysis, just to kind of give you a real quick snapshot of where you may be financially. Same thing here, give you a real quick snapshot, but it's not going to be like a very, really detailed maturity assessment that you may otherwise see or conduct. You'll go through analysis, define your PMO functions, the PMO roadmap, and the PMO charter. So these 7 elements make up the foundation layer. Next, we get into the executable layer. And this is where we're going to develop our what's called 2PG, policies, procedures, and governance of the overall PMO. We'll develop a proof of concept, define PMO KPMIs, define the roles and develop competencies, evaluate the PMO ROI, return on investment, and track PMO performance and continuous improvement. Okay. So, we'll cover all of these in the executable layer. By the way, the evaluation of PMO ROI, if you ever get a chance, Dr. Bill Ibbs out of UC Berkeley did a really good book on quantifying the value of project management. I don't know if you guys can see this book or not here. It's called Quantifying the Value of Project Management. But that kind of fits in with that ROI piece. It's Dr. William Ibbs out of UC Berkeley. And he also worked later with a gentleman who's a professor at George Washington University, Dr. Young-Hoon Kwak. And they developed some really good algorithms around computing ROI for PMOs, and it ties into maturity assessments as well too, and showing that ROI as you progress up that maturity ladder. So next is your executable layer. Here we're going to be defining the models, the methods, artifacts, stakeholder management, the status or sustainable EPMO, our PMO technology stack, team structure, succession planning. That's a big one that's often overlooked. Supporting functions, PMO structures and types, and then our Agile PMO is there as well. And then next, we're going to cover our leadership level. So we have our PMO leadership, we have executive sponsorship, and we have emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is hit on quite heavily through here. For those of you that may be doing PMP training, you'll know the PMP exam prep materials also hits on emotional intelligence quite heavily now as well. So this is kind of the makeup, 26 elements making up the 4 layers of the CB-PMO framework. Okay, any questions? Okay. So the training, if you decide to go through training or become a trainer, you'll basically kind of follow this outline here as you go through your training. And as far as the class materials itself, for those of you that are interested in becoming trainers, it's really good because there's a lot of active learning here, meaning you cover the materials, but then you go through the exercises on how to do a PMO health check, how to do the maturity assessment, how to do the PMO charter, things like that, which is really good. So 3 types of certifications currently being offered by PMOGI. First is the CA-PMO. This recently came out this spring. The one that's been kind of the gold standard, one that's been around the longest is the Certified Baseline PMO Consultant Certification. And then the new one that came out last month is the Agile PMO Consultant Certification. So let's go through these quickly. The Certified Associate PMO, kind of like the CA-PM certification through PMI. So typically, bachelor's degree or equivalent is required. Any additional project management education is beneficial, but not mandatory. From an experiential piece, you really don't have to have the experience, but having some background in project management or PMO would definitely help. Training, you must complete an 8-hour course. Generally, this will be done in 2 days as 4 hours each day, or you could do it as a single 8-hour class as well. But you must have that 8 hours of training before you can sit for the exam. And then all of these have the ethics piece, very similar to the PMP, where you have to adhere to that professional code of conduct and ethics for the certification. So this CA-PMO applies to really junior project managers, someone wanting to aspire to get into the PMO. Could be new graduates coming right out of school that don't have that experiential piece or requirement met yet. They could set for that CA-PMO certification. The exam itself is only 60 questions. You're given 80 minutes to take the exam, $199 to set for the first attempt, and $129 for the third attempt. Any questions on the CA-PMO exam? Jeff, if you don't mind, if you could watch me on time, please. Right, let me go along. So next is got it. Okay, thank you. So next is this Certified Baseline PMO exam requirements. So these are a little bit more stringent, very similar to kind of like the PMP. So you must have an educational kind of background, if you will. So bachelor's degree, you have to show 7,500 hours of leading or directing, project management or PMO. If you have that high school or associate's degree, you have to show 10,500 hours of leading or directing projects. Okay. Experience, you have to have at least 5 years of project management experience. PMP also helps there as well too. I know when I took it, having the PMP kind of met that requirement as well. And then the training, there's a 21-hour class. So when you take the class to set for the exam, it's 21 hours of training for the CB-PMO. And then once you've met that experience, you've got the certificate of completion from the training, provide a updated CV or resume, then you can set for the exam. And this is designed for project managers, coordinators specializing in the PMO consultants, analysts looking to validate their skills, project team members who are aiming to understand PMO dynamics for career advancement. It also helps in meeting your PDUs, so if you're renewing your PMP as well. So the exam format, you may see multiple choice, drag and drop, mapping questions, multiple response definitions, fill in the blank questions within the CB-PMO exam. It's 100 questions. You're given 120 minutes to take it. And the first attempt is $399. Second attempt is $199 as part of that fee. And then last is the Agile PMO certification. So there is a prerequisite for this. You first have to complete your CB-PMO certification or at least complete the CB-PMO training program. So that's the prerequisite to even get into this. Again, showing the same educational requirements there. Experience, you have to show 10 years of project management or PMO related experience instead of the 5 for the CB-PMO. Training, there's a 16-hour class specific to the Agile PMO certification. So you have to take that certification and then meet these other requirements as well. Same audience that we're targeting for that certification, anyone that's, wanting to improve their knowledge or, get certified in an agile approach to running a PMO would be kind of that target audience there. Again, same exam format structure as the CB-PMO, 100 questions, 120 minutes to take the exam, and same cost of $399 and $199 for the second and third attempt. Any questions on either the CA-PMO, CB-PMO, or the Agile PMO certifications?
This is Louisa. May I ask a question there, Michael?
Sure.
I'm wondering, what is the reason for calling it certified baseline PMO? I'm hung up on the word baseline because it sounds like it's a less than, and that there's another one coming after, unless the Agile PMO is the one that comes after. Right.
Yeah. I wasn't part of the naming. It was named long before me, and I agree with you. I hate that name. I hate the CB. I hate the baseline piece of it. I'd rather see it just be certified PMO consultant or something like that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, that's what they ended up calling it, was certified baseline. Yeah. And I think it was probably done. I think there's another certification, worldwide certification somewhere that has kind of that certified baseline piece to it, but I don't know. I'm just purely guessing on that. But great question, but I'm right there with you.
Hey, this is Lawrence. If I can ask you a question,
Yeah,
Michael.
Lawrence. Sure.
Yeah. You mentioned about being a trainer for these exams. So, what qualification do you need to be a trainer?
You have to submit an application. You have to go through the partner training, which is basically the train-the-trainer training as part of that. And then there's a partner associated fee, very similar to the way PMI does it for the authorized training partners for the PMP exam. So there's a fee, if you're delivering those classes, you have to pay a fee to PMI to deliver those. You have to go through the train-the-trainer session. I'm actually delivering that train-the-trainer session now for that group that I just told you about. This coming weekend we'll wrap up, but you'll have to go through there. You have to pass the CB-PMO exam. Okay, so that's kind of step one after you go through all that training stuff. Then within like a week or 10 days after that, you'll set for the instructor exam. So there'll be 2 separate exams as part of that process. CB-PMO and then the instructor exam. So once you've kind of paid your fee, you went through the training, you've completed the CB-PMO and then the trainer exam, you've passed it, then you'll become an authorized partner instructor as well as an authorized partner with PMO Global Institute.
Thank
you.
So
if you are looking to add on a different revenue stream to your consulting services, something to consider to do that. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So if you are interested, I'm actually running 2 sessions coming up. First session is going to be the August cohort is going to be in the 17th, 18th, 24th, 25th. These are on the weekend. And then September, right now, the cohort is tentatively scheduled 14th, 15th, 21st, and 22nd. I don't have this one on the website yet. This one is there, so you can register for that. I'll probably have this one up tonight or tomorrow at the latest as far as the September cohort. Okay. And then you can register at that URL there at the bottom.
And Mike, these will be virtual classes?
Yeah, everything's virtual. Yeah.
4 hours a day?
No, they're 5.5 hours a day. Yeah. So a lot of training. There's 21 hours. So typically we'll finish a little earlier than 5.5. There's a case study that you have to do beforehand. So that kind of makes up part of that additional hour there. but essentially 4 or 5 hour days, but we will typically go a little bit longer. And I'll wrap up each session with a Kahoot session. Is anybody familiar with Kahoot? Any trainers using Kahoot? No? Okay. But we'll wrap up with the Kahoot session, which is basically kind of an online question tool that you go through. It's kind of put in a game format, so it's really fun, and the students love it. I mean, the trainers love it, and encourage people to use it when they're delivering the training as well too. But we'll wrap up with
live instructor-led. You're going to be giving these live.
Yes.
A lot of the people on the call are West Coasters. So do you have a time yet? What time each day?
Generally it'll be, well, if it all depends on the audience. And a lot of times this will, I didn't know the times on this last class until the Friday beforehand, because we weren't sure, who all was going to be part of that. So again, I have people from Ghana all the way to Turkey to Egypt on this class. Last class, one before that, I had people from Turkey to Malaysia. So I was starting the class 6 a.m. Eastern time. And so it was really good for the folks in Turkey. Folks in Malaysia, it was a little late for them. So we started, doing the class earlier, and that's fine. We'll accommodate for whatever times.
So you'll adjust the time to accommodate the attendees' time.
Absolutely, yeah. So if it's West Coast folks, I mean, we may start at 12 Eastern, 9, Pacific, something like that. Yeah. So next, PMOGI also has, excuse me, an AI-based PMO tool. And it's called Baseline. When Jeff reached out to me first, I told him about this. We were going to kind of focus on this, but they're currently going through a whole rebranding, complete redo of this tool. But at least wanted you to be aware of it. Recognize that they are working on it. It's going to come out with new AI capabilities and features as part of that. If you do become an authorized trainer, you can have access to this, but there's also some features that they allow you as an authorized provider of this to make revenue on it as well too, if you do use it with the client or sell it to a client, that type of thing. There's a plethora of tools out there. To me, this is not something I personally focus on, but it is available, and maybe the new version is going to be something we can really move forward and be a competitive tool out there with the AI capabilities built into it. But these are some of the features within the baseline tool. It's got a project builder, baselining, basic stuff that you see in most tools. There's if you go to this link here, actually, let me see if I can pull up.
I know we're fortunate to have one of our resident AI experts in the TalentCheetah community, Tomas Boinski is on the line. Tomas, how would you compare this or the feature set of this PM Aspire baseline tool with, for example, the PM Infinity tool, PMI's Infinity tool?
Thank you, Jeff, for having me. But I don't have any statement right now. This is something new for me. I can't comment right now. Thank you.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot. Sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
And I think Tom and I are actually in the same LinkedIn group, the Agile AI group with Sanal. But we can watch this quick video if you like. It's about a minute long, minute and a half long, if you want. And let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll kind of wrap up after that.
Are you tired of using fancy task management software? Are you a project sponsor struggling to view your project status in real time?
Can you guys hear the sound? You can? Okay, good.
Project team managing project baselines through proper approval process? Are you really convinced with the manual project status reporting system? Are your risks, issues, or changes managed properly with proper procedures and clarity? Introducing PM Aspire PMO Dashboard, a cloud project management tool to help project sponsor and project managers manage projects online with transparency and clear visibility. With PMO Dashboard, you can view project summary with brilliant clarity. You can manage schedule and cost baselines with proper audit trail and revision history. Forecast project success or failure using Earned Value Management, EVM. Manage resource count. Measure resources velocity with load management. Track project delivery and milestone through user-friendly Kanban board. Handle risk with risk scoring tool and exposure. Manage issues effectively with escalations programs. Handle change requests through proper impact analysis and change control board. And most importantly, generate project status through system-generated reporting tool. Yes, you really can manage all that with just one tool to meet your project goal. Then what are you waiting for? Log in to www.pmaspire.com/PMO dashboard or email at pmo@pmaspire.com.
Okay, so that gives you just kind of a real quick overview of some of the capabilities there of the tool. This is what it looks like when you come into the dashboard. Again, I know we're running close on time here, but if you look over on the left-hand navigation, you can see a lot of those things that's offered through there. And we'll see what the new version is when it comes out. I know the initial working name I think was Gemini, so they may have to change that based on Google's Gemini now. But we'll have to wait and see what comes out of there.
Do you have to be a member of PMO Global Institute in order to access this tool?
No, you can actually go, if you go to this link here, let me pull this up real quick so you can get the URL, and I'll put this in chat. Sorry. I'll put this in chat for everybody. You should be able to log in here and try it for free. Yeah, I think it went through. Can somebody check chat and just make sure that came through? Good. Thumbs up. Good. Okay, good.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So you can go on there and check that out. As far as membership to PMOGI, you can join for free, get an associate membership, but when you join the elite membership, it's $89 a year. That will give you access to a digital copy of the guidebook. Again, a lot of similarities between here and PMI as well, but that'll give you access to the digital PMO guidebook and these other things over here, as well as a 40% discount, on some of the trainings and those things going on. And then a quick contact list here. If you want to learn more about it, it's PMOGlobalinstitute.org. If you want to become a member, URL's there. If you want to become an authorized PMO instructor, just send an email to partner@PMOGlobalinstitute.org. So again, if you are doing training as part of your service offerings to your clients, and you want to expand that, service offering from a training perspective, you can go on and become a PMO certified instructor. If you want any event run, at your organization, go to events, and then my contact information is down here below as well. Okay. So I know we're just a few minutes ahead of schedule, Jeff. So I'll wrap up here and open it up to any questions anybody has.
Perfect, Mike. So opening up the floor to anyone who has any questions for Mike. This is the Q&A session.
Mike, this is Bill. Is it possible to get a copy of your presentation?
Yeah, I can send a PDF copy to Jeff. Jeff, if you want to distribute it from there.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Is that good?
Copy. That sounds good.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Yeah. Any other questions?
William, we will also be putting this, the whole presentation up on the TalentCheetah YouTube channel. So you can go to that and see, to a replay of the presentation.
Right. Yeah. And if you think of any questions later on, just shoot me an email. Be more than happy to answer. Also, please, connect with me on LinkedIn. as well. It's good to share this knowledge. And like I said, I teach both the PMP exam prep and I teach this. PMP exam prep to me has got to be one of the hardest things to do from an instructor standpoint. Anybody else teaching the PMP exam prep currently?
I used to.
Yeah. So there's a lot of lecture. In fact, it's all lecture. I mean, the nice thing about this is it incorporates a lot of active learning in it. And to me, that reinforces, the concepts that you cover in here. And I think it's great from an instructor standpoint, but also great from a student perspective as well too, as you're learning how to do these things versus just sitting there being lectured to the whole time. Yeah. Lawrence, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick one regarding this membership categories. Maybe I miss something. How many members worldwide do you have for each of the category you have?
There's 3,500 worldwide currently. Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Thanks.
organization was established, I think, in 2020. Yeah. Just to give you an idea, when I joined PMI, there was less than 10,000. So there's like 8,000 or 9,000 when I first joined PMI. Yeah. Total membership of PMI now's pushing what, 700K, 700,000. Yeah, about 1.5 million. PMP holders worldwide. So, yeah, I've kind of seen very similar growth, between PMP and kind of where PMO Global Institute starting out as well too, from that perspective. So, yeah. But again, the thing that really drew me to this was the materials, the reference guides, the guidebook. Those were the things that really attracted me to it. And it was also the thing that made me think, having people that are trained in PMOs, will that help add that value? Help make sure that we've got people that are trained in doing this, actually running those PMOs. And that was the other thing that really drew me personally to it as well. Yep. Okay. Any additional questions?
Thank you.
You're very welcome, Lawrence. Yep, no problem.
Y'all triggered a thought whenever y'all brought up PM Infinity. So the tool that you're using for baseline, that's different, or that's fed differently than Infinity is. Did I understand that correctly?
Tanya, are you asking me or are you asking?
Yeah, I'm asking you. Yes, sir.
I haven't played around with Affinity yet, so I really couldn't give you an idea on it. So
okay,
yeah,
they're probably all different. I had actually done some beta testing on that between that, and I had to purchase ChatGPT-4 in order to be one of those testers.
Right.
So sometimes it's just the curiosity on the differences with the different platforms and where they're fed from, how they're built, things of that.
Yeah, if I have to guess, and I'm not part of that team working on that, but I would say they're using ChatGPT-4 as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Mike, we have another question from Jennifer Ringgold.
Sure.
In the marketplace, what are you seeing from enterprise awareness and seeking PMO certified consultants?
I'm not seeing a lot of it now, and I think part of it's going to be a change approach. If you look at job openings, that say on LinkedIn, so you go into jobs and or even TalentCheetah, to be a director of PMO, what's the certification they typically ask for? It's PMP certification, right? Yeah. So I can tell you right now, there's a lot of PMPs out there couldn't manage their way out of a paper bag. Yeah, they did a great job passing the exam, but they just can't manage a project well. And it's the same thing in PMOs as well. So I think being trained in that area, it's something I've personally talked to PMOGI about as well too, is kind of making sure that your organization's aware of this certification. And also I think with PMI acquiring PMO Global Alliance, they're now putting emphasis on the PMO piece as well. So I think you'll see even more interest from other groups out there. Yeah, and somebody will ask, you may ask, well, maybe I just need to do the PMI certification versus the PMOGI. You can do that. It's very similar to, the CSM with Scrum Alliance versus the Agile practitioner certification with PMI. Yeah, I've looked at both. I did the certification with Scrum Alliance, because I felt it was a much better certification at that point. PMI may catch up. And again, I've been involved in PMI a long time. I think PMI a lot of times jumps on the bandwagon of hot certifications at the time. So, it's something you have to investigate yourself. The old PMO Global Alliance, you would watch a series of videos and then sit for the exam. Here it's all instructor-led training with PMOGI. And that was the thing that kind of sold me on that. Now, PMI may change that approach. Probably would recommend they do that. I think the instructor-led is much better than sitting there watching videos. Because I know the classes that we do in the trainer session, I mean, it's really interactive. And I've got senior people in there, and these people are really passionate about PMOs. In fact, there's a group in Istanbul, PMO Partners. And the young lady that is the CEO there, Bingu, she's been sending her people through this whole program. And, they've really jumped on board, but they're doing a lot of work with the EU, a lot of government projects back with the EU as well, too. So they're putting a lot of importance on it through that group. So, any other questions? Okay. Well, I hope it was at least beneficial and informative for you. Again, particularly if you're delivering services out there to your clients, something else to consider as part of that revenue stream. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mike. Really appreciate it. We're coming up straight up on 1 o'clock West Coast time.